What we're going to be discussing this evening, as Alexandra mentioned, are the conversation pieces. And as you know, probably the designers who are on the stage this evening are the authors of the pieces that you can see behind you on the left, behind the big Designers of the Future sign. The pieces among them are actually really different, which I think is the incredibly interesting thing this evening. And I'm also especially pleased to have such a large group of people on the stage this evening, because I think it's really a testament to how much design is actually a collaborative work. It's not about somebody inside a kind of like a genius inside the room, although you are all geniuses, we all know, but it's very much the product of collective effort, and I think that is actually the thing that will, I'm really looking forward to kind of hearing each of your take on also on the methods of working, how ideas emerge, how these projects actually came to be here today. Asif Khan.
Thank you, Joseph. As Joseph mentioned, my background is architecture, so the opportunity to create a new piece of work for the Designs of the Future Award was really exciting, and in a way I used it to expand my definition of architecture and also maybe expand a little bit the definition of design. This is a project that we're showing which is called Cloud. And I think of it as an experiment to create an architectural ecosystem. The idea was to respond to the brief conversation pieces in such a way that we created a space which echoes maybe the most primitive form of architectural space, like the shadow that's captured underneath the shade of it, underneath the branch of a tree. And we were thinking about, again, what's the most basic form of architecture? It's a canopy. Maybe if we can create a cloud, like how the clouds shade us from the sun, we can create some sort of primitive architecture, and maybe a space where people can congregate and take shelter from that sun.
I'm Katarina. I quickly show you around some of our projects. Actually, what we did when we got to know about the award and the briefing from W Hotels and the team of Design Miami on conversation pieces, we actually started discussing what are conversations about and how do we start people actually interacting with each other to start up conversations. So we actually set ourselves some rules that we actually wanted to come up with something that needs minimum two people to actually function, because conversations and interaction always needs more than one. So that was actually our personal brief. We want something that needs more than one. So we actually did 2 new projects, which is a machine that is in the corner over there, and next to it a mirror. Well, the machine is called Collective Works, and it actually just functions when somebody goes there, and the machine doesn't do anything if there's no attention to it. So as soon as somebody approaches the machine, it slowly starts winding up linear, and the more people actually come to watch the machine and join this conversation between human, machine, and other humans, it actually adds more color. So each human that comes, the color gets darker. So actually it slowly builds up a volume, a basket in this case, that actually represents the audience that actually was involved in the whole process of creating the object. And the second piece we did make new for here is this mirror that is actually called It Takes More Than One. And it just actually functions as a mirror if there's one, like if you're alone, it doesn't function. But as soon as somebody else approaches you and the mirror, it suddenly switches on, and you can see each other through the mirror, and you discover yourself in the mirror. And for us it was really important to actually, well, through discussion, we learned so much about each other and about ourselves that we actually wanted to show this dialogue that you need to actually develop who you are. So we made this mirror that just needs to actually function.
A certain space, or even create a certain condition, a certain amount of conditions that we put together that allow these people to come together to talk. So in a way, you can't control how they come together, but you just need to provide a certain space for these people. At the same time, we're thinking about the idea of a tent. Because of tent, you kind of bring people together. It might be a kind of camping situation, but the whole idea is pretty optimistic of the idea of a tent that brings people together. So we use these two concepts, these two ideas, put them together, and we kind of strip the idea of this tent, strip it off from its canvas, but just leaving the lines, the ribs there, so that when you go into the space, you kind of imagine yourself within, but at the same time, you're not really covered, you're not protected. So whatever you talk about within this space, people can hear you, which is actually the fact that even if there is a canvas there, you could hear the person inside.
Incredibly inspiring presentations. I think precisely because they're so diverse, it really opens up to a whole universe of multiple interpretations of design. Okay, well, thank you all very much. Very inspiring conversation, and thank you for the to Mind Basel for hosting us.